I'm ready for the Cup final preview.
Let's do it. I think this might be one of the most hyped Cup finals that we've seen in a long time, because it's really rare that the two best, let's say best teams on paper in each conference actually make it. I think if you were to ask most hockey fans before the playoffs who's the best team in the East and who's the best team in the West, I think a lot of people would have been saying Tampa and the Avalanche, and it's rare in hockey especially that we see that end up in the finals.
Well, yeah, this exactly correct. This is the first time, I think, since 08 or 09 or something like that the two Stanley Cup favorites at the beginning of the season make the Stanley Cup final.
That's crazy.
Right? There's always upsets that happen, and I mean, let's break it down. I'm interested to hear your take first, who you think wins the Cup and why you think wins the Cup. This is tough. This is tough
because I've said don't bet against Tampa until they lose, because you'd be stupid to do that because they're Tampa.
But
I think the Avalanche are going to win. I think they're so good. The one asterisk on that is if Kadri's playing with a legit one hand, I think they're in tough, of course. But he's skating. It seems like he's going to try and play. I just think Nate has such a point to prove. I think Makar is unbelievable. I just think that they're too deep. They got over that second round hump that we mentioned. I just have a feeling that they're going to go and do it. I would not be shocked in the slightest if Tampa won. That's probably why I'm going to refrain from betting on this series. I think the Avalanche are going to take it, though.
I mean, it's tough to to bet against Joe Sakic's Avs, but
yeah.
All else equal, I mean, with no contextualities with respect to how this playoff has happened so far, with fully rested lineups, with nobody injured, I'm taking Colorado in 6 games as well. But for this Stanley Cup final, I am taking Tampa in 6. And I think that for a multitude of reasons, which I kind of want to break down here. First and foremost, rest. I think the rest is going to bite Colorado early. We saw it in the Tampa series. Tampa played a far worse New York team, had 9 days off, lost them a game and a half. And I mean, like we said, the rest will cost you 1 or 2 games, while playing more might cost you a series. But when you see a team like Tampa Bay, I don't care how tired they are, if you go down to them 2-0 early, and remember, Colorado is at home. If you go down or lose 1 game at home, I don't know if you're going to be able to win one in Tampa to tie it up. I mean, Colorado's going to be off for, I think, 2 weeks. Tampa's going to have their legs coming off 4 straight games of desperation. I think I'm very confident that Tampa wins game 1 in Colorado. Even if they lose game 2, they're going 1-1 back to Tampa, and I expect the Tampa to win both at home, right?
Wow.
In my opinion, that gives Tampa, not in my opinion, based on that, Tampa will be up 3-1. They'll have 1 chance to close it out at home, or 2 in Colorado as well. Obviously, this is subject to a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for, assumptions. But based off of where we are now, I think the rest is going to bite Colorado early. They're going to come out flat. They haven't played a hardcore Stanley Cup game in 9 days. No, sorry, more, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And when it's not like Tampa's rested as well. They're playoff ready. They went through 4 hard games. That's number 1. Number 2, goaltending. What do you think Darcy Kemper's at right now? 70-80%? There's no way he's at 100.
Well, he can't. He left the series because he couldn't see.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Even if Darcy Kemper is at 90%, we'll say he's definitely not at 100. I do not trust Pavel Francouz against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We know Vazzy can steal a series, right? Colorado has not played a good playoff goalie yet. Take that in. They had backups playing in Nashville. They played Mike Smith when he wasn't good. The only good goalie they played was Jordan Binnington, and they had trouble against Jordan Binnington, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it is tough to bet against Colorado, but when they're going up against a team who has their legs, against a fantastic goalie who can steal a series, I think Tampa wins in 6. I think Vazzy wins the Conn Smythe.
In 6? That's a big call.
Yeah.
In 6.
I can keep. Sorry, if you want to go ahead, go ahead.
No, I'm having trouble refuting any of those arguments that you gave. It's a solid argument.
Yeah, so number 3 is depth. I mean, the hallmark of Colorado, to your point, is depth, but Tampa is sneaky deep too. Their first line, I think, matches up just as well as Colorado's line. I'm sorry, Stamkos, had 106 points this year. Kucherov is playing like his heart self. Andre Palat is sneaky good on the wing. And their second line, we just said with Hagel, Cirelli, Killorn, is sneaky deep too. And they're getting point back at 100% because he's been off for 3 weeks, right?
He's coming back. I mean, I don't know what percentage he's at. I think if the last series against the Rangers went to 7, he probably would have came back for 7.
For sure.
It means he was close to being ready. Even if he's at 85% of Braden Point, he's still Braden Point.
Yeah,
right?
he was close to being ready. Now he's going to have 4 or 5 days off before game 1. I mean, that offensive core is deep. And when you look defensively, too, I mean, Tampa is slightly worse than Colorado defensively, but by such an inconsequential margin. I think everyone takes Makar over Hedman, but it's far closer than a lot of people think.
Oh, it's very close. Hedman's also done it twice.
Exactly. Devon Toews is a phenomenal player, but I'm sorry, in the playoffs, I like Ryan McDonough better just because of that experience he brings to the team. And then Cernak and Sergachev played so well last year. Sergachev had 2 goals. These players are in form. The point I'm trying to make here is that, I don't know, Tampa's depth, I think, is just as good as Colorado. And if they can steal a few games without Colorado's legs, I don't know. It's going to be tough to overcome that margin.
Yeah, that rest portion will be really key. I think we'll know where this series is heading after the first 2 games, just because the teams are so evenly matched that if Tampa does somehow get a 2-0 lead, or if Colorado gets a 2-0 lead, it's going to be tough. That'll be tough for the other team to overcome that. I think the key for the Avs in this series, I mentioned it every time we review an Avs series, is just how relentless and how much they can overwhelm an opponent with their forechecking. I think they have to lean on that so heavily against Tampa Bay. The Leafs were the team that had the most success against Tampa, and of the teams that they've played, I'm pretty sure the Leafs are the team that forecheck you the hardest. We know that the Rangers like to play off the rush a little more because they're usually defending more than they're attacking. Florida was not very good, so it didn't matter how they played. It didn't look like they were going to win that series. So I think that the Avs are just going to have to overwhelm the heck out of this Tampa Bay defense. I mean, if you get in there, lay a couple big hits, we know that I'm sure these guys are playing through injuries. How do you not after 3 straight cup runs? I think if they're going to have any success, they've got to get in behind the Tampa defense, make some big hits, and score in that way. Or else I think they're gonna really struggle because we know Tampa knows how to clamp down when they need to. I think the Avalanche are gonna have to try and find a way to get some sustained pressure in the ozone.
Yeah, you said it best. I mean, let's not underestimate the fact that Tampa Bay has cup winning experience. That means so much. Like, we're seeing it in the NBA Finals too right now. Really quickly, Boston Celtics go out to what, an early 1-0 lead. Then they get it to 2-1. But then everything starts crumbling and the cream rises to the crop. And the guys that are battle tested and have won chips like Steph Curry start going off. I mean, I think the same thing is going to happen in Tampa as well. Am I wrong? No one on Colorado's won a cup.
I think if they have, like, maybe Darren Helm won one with Detroit back in the day. I don't even know for sure, but definitely none of the big boys have made big cup runs.
Not even cup runs. They haven't even had a Stanley Cup final game, right?
No.
There's something to be said about maybe that first 2 or 3 games without having legs, and it might be a little bit too overwhelming for them. And like I said, not to beat a dead horse here, Colorado going down 2-0 against Nashville, full confidence they come back, but against the tough checking Tampa Bay Lightning, I don't know if they let's get something straight. If Colorado comes out and wins the first 2 games at home, they're going to win the cup. But if Tampa can steal one, I mean, I have a tough time betting against Tampa. Like, it's crazy. Everyone on Tampa has 2 cups, and Maroon's going to win his 4th in a row.
That's crazy,
right?
That
if
is
it happens.
So crazy.
The last thing I want to talk about is desperation. There is something to be said about playing with desperation, and that's to Colorado's point that no one on that team has won a cup. Right, regardless of how good that team is, they're not going to be as good next year. They're going to lose a lot of guys to free agency. Maybe there's an element of desperation. They're saying, we don't know if we're going to get back here. We got to win, right? But on the other hand, I think there's some desperation in that Tampa Bay locker room.
Big time. They're on the cusp of history.
Not even that. I think there's desperation in the sense that what's the first thing you hear when someone says Tampa's won 2 cups in a row? What's the first thing that people say?
Oh, it was a COVID cup or something?
They were
fake cups?
Quote-unquote Mickey Mouse cups,
okay.
Right? I think, and I could be wrong, this is pure conjecture, that those guys in the room, Stamkos, Kucherov, want to stick it to the entire NHL fan base and say, we're going to win a cup that you guys call real. And I think that, I think they're going to come out and I think they're going to win. Tampa in 6.
Listen, I think Colorado's going to win this one, But I think I love watching greatness, as everyone does. That's not unique to me. But just watching something that you're going to look back on 50 years and say, holy crap, I was alive for that. This is an amazing moment. It's like, I'm not a huge football fan. That's why I kind of liked watching Brady win all his rings. And I know true football fans hated that because Tom Brady and the Patriots were easy to hate. But just watching this guy win all of these rings and cement his legacy was really cool from a neutral perspective. And I'm a neutral watching this. And so I think seeing Tampa win 3 in a row and really etch themselves as a true dynasty, not only of the Cap era, but all time, will be very cool to watch. And that's why I won't be upset if they win, even if it's against my prediction.
It is so crazy that they are the first team in the Cap era to get to, 3 straight Cup Finals, and they did it in a flat cap. That's what blows my mind, right? It's not even like the cap went up 2-3 million a year. It was freaking flat.
It didn't move.
Right?
Yeah, they're probably already, we can have this conversation in the offseason after it's done, but they're probably already the best team in the Cap era, arguably, because they've made it to conference finals. They made it to the Cup Finals as well. Like, they've been close so often. If they get this, it's game over. Like, they're the 100% the best team of the Cap era.
For sure.
That'd be cool.
John Tortorella said it best. When they swept the Tampa Bay Lightning, they created a monster.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going for Tampa. Steven Stamkos is one of my favorite players ever to play. He's such a good dude. And I'm so sick and tired of people overshadowing his greatness by the dumb, untrue argument that these are Mickey Mouse Cups, and I think he's going to win a real one here. And I think when he wins this real one, everyone will start finally validating the first 2, and he's gonna be a Hall of Famer with 3 cups.
Yeah. I think people who invalidate the first 2 are idiots. Like, imagine being away from your family in Canada. They all live in the States, right? During COVID, being isolated in a hotel for literally 2 months. That's grueling mentally, regardless of what people want to say. It is, and then last year, I feel like last year was almost real. Like, there were fans back. The division was different, but in my opinion, that's a real cup. I know there are people who say it wasn't. So from that perspective, I kind of hope they stick it to them as well.
Exactly. That's why I'm going for Tampa. But yeah, let's move on.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. And find the link to our full podcast and all our socials in the description down below.
Also, don't forget to turn on those notifications to get live updates on new videos that we release.